Hi guys, maayong adlaw. Welcome to NatzMath TV. So for today's video, my presentation is about listing the terms in a sequence. This is a topic for junior high school mathematics, specifically for grade 10 students, about sequences and series. So before we proceed to our example, let us define first what is a sequence. A sequence is a set of numbers written in succession, and each number in the sequence is called a term. One example of a sequence is 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, and 16. Another one is 1 half, 1 fourth, 1 over 6, 1 over 8, 1 over 10, and 1 over 12. These two, of course, are example of a sequence, and each number in the sequence are called term. For example, 1 is our first term, 4 is the second term, 7 is the third term, and so on. And in the second example, we have 1 half is our first term, 1 fourth is our second term, and so on. There are two types of a sequence. One is called an infinite sequence. In this case, which is denoted by these ellipses or the three dots, this means that this sequence does not end at 16. This means that this sequence goes until infinity. Or another type of a sequence is called a finite sequence. When we say a finite sequence, it is a sequence having a first term and the last term. Unlike with the infinite sequence, which has a first term but it has no last term. So a finite sequence, it has the first term and the last term. So in this example, we have 1 half as our first term and 1 over 12 as our last term. Now let us proceed to our example number 1. For example, we are going to list down the first four terms of this given sequence. A sub n is equal to 2n minus 1. So our a sub n here denotes that this is the nth term of a given sequence. For example, we are going to list down the first four terms of the sequence and we are going to solve first for the first term. So we have to denote the first term as a sub 1. So a sub 1 as our first term is equal to 2. Our n, of course, is since this is our first term, so that is 2 times 1 here that denotes this is our first term. So 2 times 1 minus 1. So when we solve a sub 1 as our first term, then 2 times 1 is 2 minus 1. So our a sub 1 is 1. So our first term for this given sequence is 1. Then we will solve for the second term. This time, instead of using a sub 1, since this is now the second term, so we will be using a sub 2 is equal to our constant here, which is 2, then our n, which is the second term, that is 2 minus 1. Then we simplify, we have 2 times 2 is 4 minus 1, which is equal to 3. Then our second term for this given sequence is 3. Now let's proceed to find the third term. We have, since this is third, so we have a sub 3 is equal to 2 times our n is 3 minus 1. Then that is 2 times 3 is 6 minus 1 is equal to 5. Then we will follow the same process for the fourth term. So this becomes a sub 4 is equal to 2 times our n is 4 minus 1. So 2 times 4 is 8 minus 1 is 7. So these are now our terms in this given sequence, which is 1, 3, 5, and 7. 1, 3, 5, and 7. The first four terms of this given sequence. Another example, example number 2. We list down the first three terms of the sequence a sub n is equal to 2a over 3. So again, we will solve for the first term. So that becomes a sub 1 is equal to 2 times our n is 1 since we are going to solve for the first term over 3. Then we simplify. 2 times 1 is 2 over 3. So therefore, our a sub 1 is 2 over 3, which is our first term. Now to solve for the second term, we will do the same process, but this time this is now a sub 2 is equal to 2 times, since this is our second term, so that is 2 times 2 over 3, which is equal to 4 over 3. Then, let's solve for the third term. So this time, this is now a sub 3 is equal to 2 times 3 is 6, and divided by 3 is 2. This is the first term, second term, and third term. So that sequence would be 2 over 3, 4 over 3, and 2. These are now the first three terms of this given sequence. Another example. List down the first four terms of the sequence a sub n is equal to the square root of n squared plus 1. So solve for the first term. So this is a sub 1 is equal to the square root of, since this is n squared, so since we are going to solve for the first term, so we have 1 squared plus 1. 1 squared is of course 1, that is 1 times 1 is 1 plus 1. Then the square root of 1 is 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So our first term is 2. Proceed to the second term. This is now a sub 2 is equal to the square root of n squared, since n is 2, so that is 2 squared is 4 plus 1. Then 4, the square root of 4 is 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. Now for the third term, we have a sub 3 is equal to the square root of 3 squared minus 1. Then 3 squared is 9 plus 1. Then the square root of 9 is 3. So that is 3 plus 1, which is equal to 4. Then we do the same process for the fourth term. So that is a sub 4 is equal to the square root of 4 squared plus 1. 4 squared is 16. Then the square root of 16 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So therefore, the first four terms of this given sequence are 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's proceed to our last example. List down the first five terms of the sequence a sub n is equal to 2 plus n cubed. So this time we will have to list down the first five terms. Of course, we will start with the first term, which is a sub 1 is equal to 2 plus our n is 1, so that is 1 cube. 1 cube is of course 1, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So the first term is 3. When you say 1 cube, that means 1 times 1 times 1. Let's proceed to the second term. So we have a sub 2 is equal to 2 plus 2 cube. This time we have 2 cube since we are going to solve for the second term. 2 cube is equal to 8 plus 2 is of course 10. We do the same process for a sub 3, which is the third term. So 2 plus 3 cube is 27. Then 27 plus 2 is 29. Then for the fourth term, a sub 4 is equal to 2 plus 4 cube is 64, plus 2 is 66. And for the fifth term, so we have a sub 5 is equal to 2 plus 5 cube, which is equal to 5 cube is 125, plus 2 is 127. So therefore, the first five terms of this given sequence are 3, 10, 29, 66, and 127. So we have first term, second term, third term, fourth term, and the last term or the fifth term. Okay, so that's it. I hope you have learned something from this video. Next, I will be presenting to you about arithmetic sequence. So that's all for now. Thank you and God bless.